Hello everybody, it's Laura from McNeely Garden Studios coming to you Tuesday at 10. And if you follow me and you saw yesterday's St. Patrick's Day impromptu, you know that there's a surprise today. Can you guess what it might be? Any guesses? It'll become evidently possible in just a moment. So, but it is cherry blossom season, and the cherry blossoms are so beautiful. Have you ever been to Washington D.C. to see all cherry blossoms? Have you ever been to Macon, Georgia to the Cherry Blossom Festival? I have lived here a long time, and I've not made it over there yet. But I have seen the cherry blossoms in bloom over there. I've just not been to the festival. I'm not a big, a lot of people fan, but anyway, so we're going to paint some cherry blossoms today. I have some of this already started because, when I do watercolor, you know that there are things that I wait to finish and show you later on in the day, because a lot of things in watercolor really need to be completely dry before you can do the pen and ink, the line work. Because if you put your pen, especially some of these nice fancy expensive pens, if you put your pen in wet paint, you've ruined the pen. So a lot of times I'll wait overnight. So but I've got three different techniques to show you, all in this one painting. So the big surprise is I'm not live today, Tuesday at 10. I am venturing out in the tech world, and by necessity, I am filming this so that I'm ready for things that happen, that come up, emergencies and changes of plans, just to get ahead and do some things to show you. So here it is. This is my very first filmed tutorial, and it's going to be scheduled for you now while you're looking at it. And I've got some other exciting things to tell you as well. But I'm going to turn you down on my table so you can see. The wind has been blowing and it's brought pollen from all over the place. So everyone is gagging. Sorry about that. Okay, so I've got this is just watercolor paper. And I've got a couple things going on that I want to show you. One is the branches. One is the bokeh petals in the distance. That means they're just out of focus. They're way off in the distance. And then we have some negative space over here. We're not going to fill it completely up, but we're going to fill it up with a wet on wet technique for watercolor. So what we're going to do, I went out into my yard and got some very special sticks. They have to be sticks that speak to you. And this one kind of reminded me of a wand from Hogwarts or something. But, you have to have fun when you are doing anything, whether you're making a living at it or you're just trying to enjoy your afternoon. So I've got some very, very fancy sticks, and this is the one that I used. And ironically, I used this stick to make these sticks. And the reason is because it's irregular. I hold it at the end and it's kind of wonky. You kind of get some irregular shapes, and it's not real predictable. So you get thicker lines and bent lines. So that's a lot of fun. So that's the first hack. That's the first found object that we're going to use today. The second one is an object, a tool that I have literally made myself. And you can see I've got all the little pieces of Q-tips that I cut off. And I just took a little wire thing that off the bread, you know, and put these all together. And you see they're all flat from where I have been pouncing them on the page. So, and you can see that they are completely saturated with paint. You can use this with marker, but I use this with watercolor, and so I saturate it completely. And what's nice about it is as it wears out, it begins to be a little lighter and really gives you that bokeh look. So, and then I'm going to show you the wet on wet and the pen and ink line work right there with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I took this Deco Art Americana. This happens to be dark chocolate. It really doesn't matter. You can just use any kind of, I use brown paint. I did start off thinking that I was going to use acrylic ink, but honestly it was just too stark. You can use it, and you can actually use this with the stopper instead of the stick. But I don't know, I just decided that I would not do that today, but I wanted to show it to you, just, you know, because sometimes you try things and you make a decision and then you're like, no, I don't think I'll do that. I also found this in my watercolor stuff, and this, obviously, you know, this is an oyster shell, and day after tomorrow, well, tomorrow is the first day of spring, and it's cold outside, and it just kind of reminds me of going to the beach. We got this at the beach, and sometimes I actually put my watercolor, I use this as a well, and I use that, but I just put it on my table because it, you know, makes me happy. So I'm looking forward to some warmer weather. So I put the brown paint in here. This is just one of those little red Solo cup. I guess it's a shot glass, to be honest, but I don't know. I don't use it for that. I use it because it's a very small container. And I can use literally just a tiny little bit of paint. So I'm just gonna hold this at the end. We're not gonna put a lot on here because, like I said, we want some negative space. And I don't care that it's lighter or darker. And like right here, you see where there's a big open white space? I like that because that means that makes it look like I've got some highlight, just natural highlight there. And they don't all have to touch. You can just kind of, you know, go around and do that. It's super fun. You would enjoy doing this, but you can teach your kids to do this. They will be so impressed that you want to make art with natural stuff in the yard. So we've got some more branches. I went ahead and fixed some of the color, and I'm using a fluorescent pink here and kind of a mauve with a white. And I did it with different pressure and different colors, just a little bit. And you know, you really don't want too much. I'm going to put some over here, like they're off in the distance, maybe on another tree, go off the edge. You guys always see me making beautiful white edges, but no, we're not doing that today. We're going to go right off the edge. It's very organic when you do that. So that's our little pouncer. And this last technique, you see, I never work in the afternoon, so we get this sun coming through here. I'm going to have to hurry. But this is a watercolor brush, and you put the water right inside there so that the water flows through the bristles. Now you don't have to do this technique with this kind of thing, but you can. Something I thought was very interesting, even though the top does not have threading on it, you just literally pull it off. But I remember way back the very first time that I tried to open this, I couldn't do it. I was just, and I had my husband do it. He couldn't do it. Finally, all of a sudden I realized instead of turning it this way, like is the way that you would ordinarily open something, including the cap, it actually is counterintuitive, counterclockwise to unscrew this and put the water in there. Now, I thought, why in the world would they do that? And of course, I had to look it up because that's what I do. I like to know things. So it kind of stresses your brain to have to try to put it back on there. But I read that someone postulated that when you went to take the cap off like this, if you did that and got the nib as well, then you would have opened this and the water would have come out on your project. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. But so we're going to, if you squeeze, you don't really have to squeeze it a little bit, but if you want to get it started, I think I'm going to try to get you a little bit closer and not so much in the sun. So I'm going to squeeze it just a little bit. Some of that water is going to come down through the bristles. And this is going to be a wet on wet technique. And we're just going to kind of create some petals. Now see, if you squeeze it too hard, then you're going to end up with a drop coming out. But we'll just use that to our advantage. And so I'm building up some shapes, just some little sort of triangular petal shapes. Being careful not to touch that wet paint of the branch. I'm going to elongate this one because it's in the front. All right, so that's all wet. Then I'm going to dip my brush in a tiny bit of color. And you can see how it just starts to follow the water where the water goes. And this does take a little bit of practice, just knowing how long to leave it. Sometimes like this one, I left it for a period of time and then I took my paper towel and dabbed it, which left a faint sort of a ghost color, which I really liked. And then I came back and put a little extra color there. So you don't necessarily want it all exactly the same. You want it to fall through just follow the petal shape, and you can enlarge that if you like, change it however you want. If you decide that there's too much water there, you can actually just suck some of it up with a brush. And it really gives a lovely effect. I'm going to put a little bit of a different color. I think maybe this fluorescent. And as you add the pigment, it's really going to start making some changes. And we'll put some, some dots and stuff. When we do the line work around, you can really see a difference. So, I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And so that, because if you can see, it's just sort of a little puddle where the petals are. But I want to tell you something that's coming up. I know you've probably seen it, but I want to make sure that you know about it. I don't want you to miss it if you want to come. This is the Mended with Gold free workshop that I'm going to be giving on April the 8th at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And, excuse me, it's free. There will be replays. It will stay up for a period of time, probably about 2 weeks. But in order to get the pieces of information that you will really need to be successful, you need to register so that you can download that stuff. So this is the original piece. I'm trying not to get that in the water. This is the original, and so you'll have a photograph of this reference photo when you download, when you register and you download your stuff. You will also get this tracer, and I'll be showing you how to do that on one of my lives. I'll show you how to transfer this into there, onto your canvas. And probably even more importantly, you'll be getting this supply list that has a reference photo of the actual orchids that we are showing in our impressionistic style here. So you'll have a reference on your page there of that, and these are phalaenopsis. So, but that's not all. That's not all. If you look at this vessel that the flowers are in, that is actually a Japanese technique of repairing pottery with precious metal. And they use gold, they use silver, they use platinum. I'm kind of a gold girl, so a lot of things that I do are warm, especially warm against these blues. I like the contrast there. But it's called kintsugi, which is the technique. And it's about a vessel like a person that can be broken, but yet mended and made better. So just like I always do when I teach my art sessions, I'm not only just teaching you how to do this beautiful piece, but we're going to have a personal growth lesson about using your negative thoughts to your advantage. You cannot listen to all those negative thoughts. You don't need to. It's will tear you down. But I'm going to show you how to use those to your advantage and and just become a better person, someone that you can enjoy being around. So, all right, so I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to dab this just a little bit with my paper towel. And if I had left it for, longer, then it would have been darker, and I will probably still come back and add a little bit more in there as time goes by. Like I said, a lot of times I will finish up things and post the photo of it later. So, but this one is dry, and I did that so that I can show you. Excuse me. So, and I'm going to put a few more of these large ones around here, but I'm going to kind of, when you do line work, it needs, my kind of line work anyway, is very loose. And so a lot of times I kind of hold my pen a little higher than you would if you were really doing something really tight. If you notice, when you write, sometimes if you're really uptight or angry, you'll hold the pen real tight, and you'll press down hard, and your letters seem to be smaller and carved deeper. When you're relaxed, a lot of times you go from the end of your pen and it's a little more loopy and soft. We do that, it's called somatic writing, and it's really very therapeutic. We do a lot of it for mixed media papers, for collage. In my membership, Art and Answers, that's something that's the theme this month, is creativity and exploration, and we've been doing some somatic writing and some just all kinds of printing of different colors, because we're going to put them all together and make collage. But for this cherry blossom, we're just going to kind of go not exactly around the edge, but a little bit. A lot of times I'll go around like twice. And it's just kind of wherever you have an extra little space open, see, like that's a big space, that makes a natural highlight in your drawing. So then we'll come in and we'll put some circles. We can put some veins even, which not only is vein, but it kind of serves as a darkening, which creates a shadow. We will do a few leaves. Like I said, when I finish this, I will post it so you can see. Now see, that's very watery. It's way too much, way watery than I really want it to be. So I just sucked it back up again. And we're just gonna put some leaves in here. Here we go. And then I'll probably come back in and add, add some different colors and let that seep in there. When I do there's two ways I can do the leaves. I can do the line work with, I've got a really beautiful glitter pen, or I use my number 8 micron. And something that makes things really fancy is, besides the white edge, which I chose not to do today, but sometimes you can just do an empty leaf or an empty seed. Even the flowers, you could actually do a white one. And I'm going to come in and put some black details on, on my cherry blossom as well. So, and maybe even a darker line on the bottom of some of these branches, because that will signal to your brain that there's a shadow there and that it's a little bit more. Bring you back up here, and I hope, I hope that you will be for this, and I will see you soon.